Hey everybody, just a heads up that this is where the recording comes from, so just make sure anything you say, you're okay with.
Does that look like you? All right. Also, I'm turning my phone off right now. Please make sure your phones are off or on silent and away. We don't want to see those out during the day. And during each presentation, please keep your full attention. We're going to welcome first the genetic testing group.
Hello, I'm Larry.
I'm Hattie Goff.
I'm Kate Abney.
I'm Patty Gibson. I'm Allison Short. And I'm Maddie Carroll. And we are presenting genetic testing. Genetic testing first came about in the mid to late 1900s when the doctors turned to the human genome for answers to many medical conundrums. Since then, there have been many laws put into place to help people be protected from any downfalls of genetic testing. There is much speculation on this topic, mostly having to do with the ethical and moral standpoints. Our proposal is to turn the speculation into education and facts. Our proposal has two phases. Phase 1, educate the doctors and medical personnel so that they are well educated and well versed. People will be more willing to trust and learn from doctors who know what they're talking about. Phase 2, send the doctors out into the world and have them educate the general public. This will happen in waves. The first wave will be the people who are curious about the topic and ask questions. The second wave will be the people who are who have a vague understanding of what the topic is, but don't really want to know anymore. And the third wave will be the people who are indifferent to the topic. This is an important topic in biotechnology because it has the ability to make or break the human race. Okay, currently there are not many, if any at all, actions being taken to educate people on the benefits of genetic testing. And as the availability and prominence of genetic testing and screening increases, the need for education is also increased. This is because if there is an uneducated person in the area of genetic testing who is considering getting a genetic test or genetic screen done, they may go to a trusted resource such as the internet or a fellow peer, which could possibly give incorrect information such as a genetic test is dangerous. This is incorrect. In fact, genetic tests are actually quite safe and their risk factor is close to 0. However, with the education program that our group is proposing, we plan to minimize discrepancies in information and give people the chance to make better and more intelligent decisions regarding this topic in the future.
The compelling issues that our group plans to address is public awareness. Currently, people all around the world are unaware of the benefits of genetic testing. If the benefits outweigh the negative aspects of this particular medical procedure, then people will be more willing to accept it. To deal with this, we decided to come up with a proposal, and if data is collected in certain areas such as the prevention of and diagnosis of certain breast and ovarian cancers, the prevention and diagnosis of Down syndrome with prenatal scans, and the prevention of certain genetic diseases in unborn babies, then genetic testing will become more popular. If the public becomes more aware about genetic testing, then they will definitely be more willing to accept it.
Now, we think that genetic testing has more helpful aspects than harmful. And as Maddie already said, we wanted to take a two-step process to educate the general public on the helpful aspects of genetic testing. We wanted to educate doctors and then educate the general public. Now, we wanted to educate the doctors first because we felt that the doctors already had a simple understanding about what genetic testing was, and that there were so many doctors and people on the medical staff that they could go so many places that our team of professionals could not. We only have 6 people, and with the help of all the doctors, we feel that we can spread the field of genetic testing and the helpfulness of genetic testing all around the world.
So this is an overview of the budget. We plan to spend it evenly. Our total cost is going to be $280,000, which is $30,000 over what the proposal is for. So we will start with the part-time researchers. The part-time research will take about 28.6% of the budget. And they will each be paid $3,333 each, which adds up to $6,666, which is $80,000 a year. Then there's the survey, which is 14.3%, which will be done at the end of every quarter, right after the printing campaign, which will be at the beginning of the quarter. This will show our results for the printing campaign, and we'll also see if people are becoming more aware of genetic testing. Then the travel expenses are very little because it's just traveling in the nation, only takes up 6.4%. Then the Princeton for National campaign is of course $100,000, so it takes a large amount of it. And then there's the office rent, which is so very little. Now this is the actual budget. As you can see, it is mostly, even the biggest months will be January, April, October, and July. October is the highest because that's when most of the seminars will be held, because we plan to send our 2 part-time researchers to seminars all around the nation to educate general practitioners about genetic testing, so then they can go to their patients and to be able to give them more information about that. The first line is, of course, the researchers. They have a steady payment, which is constant. Then the publicist, which is paid $2,500 a month, equaling $30,000 a year, is also a steady salary. Then the rent for the building is $1,000 a month, which is also steady. Then in January, we start part of the printing campaign at $25,000. Then we travel once in February to one of these seminars. Then in March, we do a survey to see if the printing campaign has done any good. Then we repeat it all the way through to see if we are making any progress whatsoever. And since we are going over by $30,000, we plan to get that extra money from the American Breast Cancer Foundation, the Colon Cancer Alliance, the National Kidney Foundation, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and the Huntington's Disease Society of America, which we will ask with the same proposal, $6,000 each, totaling the much needed $30,000.
Our group hopes that by using this money, we can educate doctors and the general public so that they understand how they can use genetic testing to help themselves. We asked for a total of $280,000. We would use this to use all of the money towards researching and teaching all medical personnel and the general public. We have found other organizations to ask money for if we find more money that we need later. Any questions? Yes.
You said that you're going to be giving seminars to practitioners, and I understand that, but what is it about the genetic testing that you think is so?
So genetic testing is a relatively new, it's been only around since the 1940s. It's still relatively new, and there's still being research done, but people are unaware of what help it can provide because certain diseases do run in family, and they should know that those diseases do run, so they can help eliminate that risk. So you're just educating the doctors to tell the people about what they can actually do for you.
We also believe that, because most people have grown up to learn to trust their doctors, that educating the doctors themselves first, and then having the doctors educate the general public would be a better way to go than not necessarily just educating people straight out.
Also, some people go to their doctors and ask them about genetic testing, and doctors don't know. That has happened with a lot of people, and so they go ask their doctor, and the doctor doesn't understand. So they either have to refer them to somebody else, or tell them that they don't understand the doctor.
So, if the technology's been around since about the 1940s, what has changed or improved that makes it a prominent topic or a prominent topic to fund now?
So since the 1940s, they started in the 1940s to test for just most mutations like the Down syndrome
And sickle cell.
and sickle cell anemia. So that's when they started. But since then, we've developed over 2,000 tests for just about any type of mutation or disease.
And especially now that like technology has improved, it's making it a lot easier to prevent people from developing these like diseases and letting people know if they have them or if it's like in their ancestors.
And then there is also the possibility that in time, we might be able to alter those genes so we can better fit ourselves to whatever is happening. Like we could probably end up making what we would call the perfect being with zero health issues and very little risk to that person.
Maybe on this was put up, doctors is kind of a broad term. What doctors are we gonna focus on, general practitioners?
General practitioners is what we're focusing on.
And just the United States.
Yes,
Yes.
just the United States.
Ms. Allen?
You mentioned that all genetic testing is safe. Is amniocentesis a form of genetic testing?
I researched into cover that. It can go under that, but there are risks for that, but it is very minor, and there hasn't been a significant amount overall of genetic testing having issues.
In your research, and I'm asking the question first as a group, in your research, did you anybody hit on cost? Is this something that's going to cost an individual thousands of dollars? Is it going to cost $20? Is it going to cost, if you're coming to me as the general public and saying, we recommend that you get tested, but yet you don't put a cost behind it, I'm speaking as the general public, I would first ask, is this going to cost me out of pocket thousands of dollars? I understand you want to know my background and test for that genetically, but did anybody have a cost factor in the research?
I focused a little bit in my paper. I noticed that it is very expensive, but I didn't get any specific numbers.
I think it also depends on what you're testing for. Like some of the new things that they've found may cost more because they're still being developed, but things that they've had for a long time, such as Down syndrome or sickle cell, I don't think it would be quite as expensive because it's more common to use.
I believe it's about $15 to $75. 15 is the infants or older tests, 75 and more is for the newer tests.
Okay. So when you say more, when you give me more or less or not a lot, so you're saying less than $100 for the test then? Is
Right
what
now,
you're,
Quick question.
How much ethical resistance is there in regarding to this topic?
There's a lot of ethical resistance because higher abortion rates follow with genetic testing because some people do not want a child that has Down syndrome or sickle cell anemia or any sort of genetic mutation.
It's also generally religions don't believe it because a lot of religions don't believe in abortion, and so a lot of religious groups don't believe in genetic testing.
Okay, we're gonna have to move on because we got lots of presentations today. Very nice, you guys. Thank you.